few reminders. We do have that chat box and the Q&A, so make sure to ask your questions and we will get to them at the end. Now over to you, Adam and Justin.
All right, thanks, Bridget, and thanks, Greenbook, for having us today with the opportunity to speak about our text analytics tool. We are Bellomy Market Research. I'm here today to talk a little bit about finding meaningful discoveries in your unstructured data. Before we jump into the bulk of our presentation, wanted to do just a quick intro. My name is Adam Spencer. I am the Text Analytics Product Manager here today with my colleague, Justin Bailey. He's a Director of Strategy at Bellomy.
Glad to be here. Looking forward to talking about this.
All right, before we jump into our tool and our examples, I wanted to share a little bit about Bellomy and who we are, just to give folks some context about what we do and where our text analytics tool came from. We find that a lot of insights technology companies that have tools, software tools, they have really great offerings. I'll give a little context here in a second about the origination of our tool. Most of the tools out there on the market are really great, can do a lot of amazing things. Text analytics is very much at the forefront of the industry in market research. On the other side, we also have more of your traditional market research firms that deliver a broad suite of offerings that a lot of folks need done in market research. Bellomy likes to approach this to sort of bridge that gap. We realized early on, Bellomy is a 40-plus-year-old company. We realized early on that we needed to, have an insights technology arm within our company to build, products and services that our clients needed to deliver the best value to the end, the end client. And so our text analytics tool very much lives within a robust suite of offerings on the insights technology side of things. We also do traditional market intelligence consulting, have a digital marketing arm as well. Before we jump into our tool, I wanted to talk a little bit about what most DIY text analytics software tools can offer you. We look at a lot of common use cases, especially in our world, talking about things like tracking studies and looking at open-ended survey verbatims and transcripts from phone calls and emails and things like that. A lot of those common use cases you'll probably be very familiar with. On the other side, we also look at common features and benefits that a lot of the tools, including ours, deliver. It's very much around self-service and simplifying the process and really finding insights quickly and looking at emotion and sentiment analysis and providing metrics and things like that. And also you'll see the buzzwords of AI and machine learning, natural language processing, different things like that. A lot of the tools deliver that, and that's great. It's what we all kind of need. But we wanted to talk real briefly about what makes our tool a little bit different. Part of that goes into the story around where our tool came from. We looked out on the market to use a tool internally for our clients and really found that what was out there was sort of lacking. The industry focus wasn't really there. The tool sets weren't quite holistic. A lot of AI models out there weren't as accurate as we would like. And so what we did is we utilized the downtime during the pandemic to allocate our resources to develop a broader offering for text analytics that really met our high quality standards. And we leveraged our established research cloud to really build that tool. Want to speak really quickly about how do we realize the differences of our tool. So it's very much speed to insights. That's the story, finding the story within your verbatims, within your text. We do human trained AI models that are very industry specific. We've got a 90% plus accuracy in that. It's been really great to see. We've got a couple of key industries as examples, utilities, retail, finance, things like that we really focus in. Tool customization is a big thing for us. A lot of tools out there don't offer as much customization as we would have liked. So we built our tool with the research analysts, with market researchers in mind to be able to customize. And Justin will show that here in a second with his example. We also have things like show reels and case management in our researcher workflows. quant and qual analysis in our tool, being able to bring quant variables into our AI assistant to really get deeper into the insights is really great. We have amazing service support with, the 100+ folks at Bellomy that are in the trenches doing the work. Really there to support. And lastly, we're amazing partners. Our clients and customers love working with us, and so we'd love to connect and work with you as well. So Justin's going to walk us through some examples today. Our first example, we're going to talk about green market, Google store reviews, and competitive analysis. Justin, you want to go ahead and take us away on that?
Sure thing, Adam. Yeah, so like Adam said, our first example is in the grocery space. And we're going to use the name Green Market today for our client. They are a grocery chain, and they came to us with a challenge of needing to understand what was happening because they were expanding pretty rapidly, growing their stores. And what they noticed was that some of the stores, when they opened them, they were underperforming compared to what they wanted, what their expectation was, and also in comparison to some of the other stores. So their question was really, why are these handful of stores underperforming? What do we need to do? What kind of changes do we need to make about it? They did some internal research. They did survey research, and they got some answers, but it wasn't really telling them the full story. So they talked to us to see, hey, what can we do about this? Well, one of the things you can do is you can look at what's out there that's already available. And with Google reviews, they have a lot of information and data that's already existing, right, that you can pull right off of Google. So and I'm talking about like the star reviews that you get and anybody can leave. And then along with that, there's the open end, the verbatim that people can optionally provide feedback. Well, a lot of times those get unnoticed, right? But the great thing about it is they're very rich with information. You can look at them not only overall, but on a brand level and even on a store level in many cases, because there's enough reviews to be able to do that. So I'm going to show you kind of how we tackle this and how we approach that challenge of looking at these Google store reviews. So, we just tapped into Google and was able to bring in their data. And you can see here, the number of records overall is very robust, right? 262,000. This is across all different groceries. We're going to focus only on Green Market today. This is our overview page, and we won't spend a lot of time looking at this. We always like to break out emotion and sentiment. Those are two separate things, the way we talk about them. And then we also have very distinct topic models per industry. So in this case, we were using our retail topic model that applied to this. So the AI applied these. We've spent a lot of time manually training our AI to understand what goes on with in the grocery industry and the retail industry and what topics are really relevant. So I'm going to go down to our Discover tab here, and you'll see now what I'm showing you is the brands that are in the store reviews in this database. And we have, most of these you've probably heard of, or maybe even shopped at some of them. And so we have, focused on Green Market here, 2,000 store reviews on Green Market overall. So the first thing we can do, one of the questions we have is, why are some of these Green Market stores underperforming versus others? Well, we broke those. We took 10 of those underperforming stores and we broke those out. And we have a feature called Ask the AI Assistant. It's available in many places on the tool. It's very handy to access, and it's really generative AI. It's the ability to ask a question right away and be able to say, okay, what's happening with my data? It's meant to get you an initial read on it, so then you kind of know where to start. You don't have to just start reading through verbatims. You can ask the AI Assistant. So that's what we're going to do here, and I've already. We've got some preloaded questions that you can ask. In this case, we wanted to be very specific in what we were asking. So I'm just going to put this question in that I've already typed up. Based on these comments, list the top 5 reasons why Green Market problem stores have lower ratings than other Green Markets. So we're asking it specifically about what is going on in these particular underperforming stores. And next thing, you see a screen here that you can exclude certain types of comments that aren't going to generate any meaningful data, like don't know and not sure. And the other thing here that really is important is when you're talking about generative AI is being able to also utilize any of the metadata that you have available to you. So what is my frame of reference here? Well, it's not just going out and searching the internet. It's focused only on the data that we give it. And that's true whatever kind of data we provide, whether it's survey data, tracker data, anything from Google story views or a specific resource online, or any like call center feedback or anything like that. So wherever that comes from, we pull in any of the metadata that we have in order to help educate what's going on with the AI assistant. And here we pulled in overall rating, and then we created a field that was divisionally based where we could separate those underperforming stores from all the other stores. And so it kind of, using those words I did in the question, it kind of understood, okay, we're separating these based on the division. So next thing we did was you run this, and it takes a second, and what will happen is it'll output, and here you go. It lists the top 5 reasons why, based on everything it's scanned in the data, based on those 2,000 plus reviews from Green Market, poor customer service, lack of concern from the head cashier, insufficient open registers, produce being stale and moldy, things that you definitely do not want to really come across when you're doing your grocery shopping. Low stock of oat milk, non-food items, so specific items that called out, they may have an issue with in particular. So this is very prescriptive as to what Green Market may want to do in this case in order to try to improve in these stores, and maybe some of the things that are different in their other stores. So it's pretty interesting. Again, this is the starting point for your analysis, and I think this is great, and we can investigate each of these, which we did through our analysis and what we returned to Green Market. But definitely a good starting point. The other question we might have is, well, how does Green Market compare to other stores in their footprint? And we can do that also. And so here we go over to our comparisons feature, and we can add a filter, and we're going to add a filter called brand footprint. What this brand footprint filter is, it's something that we set up within our database. It's only stores within the Green Market problem stores or underperforming stores footprint. So it's eliminating anything else. These are only their direct competitors within a certain radius. And that helps you to say, okay, so it's not due to geographic limitations or other things. It's what's happening in those stores versus the Green Market underperformers. And so that's what this comparison right here is. You can see that there's 291 reviews versus 307 in the same footprint stores. And we have this so what these percentages are the percentages of 5-star reviews. And it does stat test it as well. So that's what the asterisk means here. And what you basically can see is for Green Market underperformers, only 14% of the time when managers or supervisors are mentioned based on our topics, they're getting a 5-star review, compared to other stores in the same footprint who are getting 52% 5-star reviews when managers or supervisors are mentioned. So clearly something happening there with their management and supervisors at the top level of those stores. And so we brought this up with Green Market. We talked to them about how to address this. We dug in a little bit more to look at some specifics that might be going on. And we're able to give them some actionable steps. So the next time they open stores, they can address these before they open, or think about them as they're launching new stores.
Very cool. Thanks for that, Justin. Yeah, just a reminder, our AI assistant very much is a starting point to help do that heavy lifting, so that as analysts, we have a starting point to kind of work from. Also, the AI assistant is ready to go. It's really embedded throughout the tool, just as Justin showed. So that's a great example. Next up, we're going to talk real quickly about the Aloha Energy NPS tracker, looking at trending and impact scores and things like that. Justin, you want to go ahead and share some more?
Absolutely. Yeah. So this is an example from a utility, and it's a fictional utility in Hawaii, which is why it's called Aloha, but definitely puts us in a good place as we go through this example. Their challenge is they have a large amount of customer feedback that comes in, and they do an NPS tracking study. And just to level set, in case there's people who don't know NPS, Net Promoter Score, likelihood to recommend, kind of asking that question. So this is tracked over time. They get a question about, how likely are you to recommend Aloha Energy? And then why did you provide that rating that you did? So there's all this rich open-end data, but obviously not a lot of time for people to read through that. And so, we can use our text analytics to dig into this a little bit more. And so we're here on the overview page again. This time, I'm going to go into our trending and look at this. So they're trying to get ahead of things. They're trying to understand maybe when something, say a release of a new website version or a new mobile app version, or they have a change to their bill payment system, things like that. How does that maybe positively or negatively impact our overall NPS? Are people feeling good about it, or is there something we need to address, something that didn't come out through our UX testing early on, and even other things too that they might even not have anticipated that could be impacting data. So what we're looking at here is a year of the data from obviously July 2020 to June 2021, 12 full months. Each of these is a month, as you can see, very robust sample sizes. And you see here what this is their NPS score. And this score can change based on whatever it is that we're looking at in the data. For example, if you have a satisfaction tracker or study and ad hoc, and you're asking about satisfaction, that's the score that would show here, like top 2, top 3 box, however you wanted to look at it, right? In the last example, this would be the percentage of 5-star reviews. So we have this, and you can see that kind of from July all the way through October, NPS was going up. It was looking really good. November, it dips a little bit, goes up to its highest point back in December of 2020, but then something happens and you see this drop off from December to January, and even a bigger kind of falling off a cliff almost as you go into February, right? So the NPS bottoms out here, and we started looking at the data to see kind of what's happening. And the great thing about it is if I scroll down just a little bit, you can see the topics that are lowering NPS. Now, even farther down, there's topics that are raising NPS. So if you're interested in also the positives, you can do that as well. We're going to talk more about what this negative 2.5 means, but for now, I'm just going to call it an impact score, which is what it is. So these are the biggest drivers or biggest impact on the data on that score for the time range that you've got selected. So for now, it's for that full year. But watch what happens when I select November 2020. That changes. And what you see is what you see with a lot of utilities: billing, price rate issues, payment, communication outages. Those 4 or 5 topics pretty much are always going to be issues for utilities. People don't tell you good things about billing typically. So it's how much of an impact it is really the question a lot of times. And so, you're always going to see that at the top, and you're also going to look for anomalies and things that pop up that aren't one of those. For example, we go to December, we see the same type of thing, but what happens in January, we see meter pop into the top 5. Further, when we go to February, meter is in the top 3, and it's greatly impacting, lowering the NPS, right? And also smart meter pops up. So what we discovered as we were talking with our client is they had begun installing new meters in a lot of homes. And, that's great. These were meters that make things more efficient. They can be read remotely as opposed to in person. But the perception was, and it wasn't true, but the perception was that these new meters were causing rates to go up. And so the more we dug in, the more we started to see this and uncover this story. And so we can look at topic is another thing. And topic is each of these bars represents 1 month. And what you want to see is kind of, you don't want a stair step upwards or a drastic change upwards. And that's exactly what we saw with meter over all these topics. And you can hover over and see, okay, we're talking about January, and the impact goes to negative 1.89. And then it escalates even more. And not only that, there's also a lot more comments about it, which is also a negative. So you can see that throughout, and you can look at whatever topics you want here. Again, these are all AI generated topics based on our trained utility model. Smart meter, same way, it goes up drastically in January. So we knew this was an issue. Last thing we looked at is term. So term is actually taking an extract of the data, and so that extract of what people are saying, those specific words that people are saying, and what they're using. And so the word that was used most negatively in January is the word meter, and in February it was also used pretty negatively at almost 90% again. So things happening with that meter, and that's the only times you see it in the data. You don't see it other months. So what we can do also, and so we went further with this analysis. We started digging in and understanding, doing some more deep diving and understanding that, yes, there is an issue. It's due to people thinking that the billing is being impacted by the meter when it's really not. So maybe there's some communication that needs to happen around what this new meter is and how it's impacting you as a customer. You can see here a great example. My utility bill has tripled since they put in the new meter. Well, the cool thing about this is that it's all about proactivity and getting in front of it, addressing it with these customers. This person gave a 1 on their NPS. That's pretty bad, right? So we can flag that and create a case. Case management is built into our text analytics, and we can close the loop with this customer. So we'd want to contact Mr. Smith, and this would direct somebody to do that. We assign the case to somebody. I'm going to assign it to my boss. I'm sure he's going to appreciate getting the email right after this. So that email will be generated and it will be sent to him right away. And he'll be able to look at that and say, okay, now I need to contact this customer and follow up. So that's also kept on a system and maintained in the background. So that's what we did with this one. And we have one last example for you. Oh, sorry, I got to the right slide there. Okay.
No worries. Yeah, that's great, Justin. Yeah, and one thing I wanted to just touch real briefly on was closing the loop and really, getting that in front of the folks at your organization that need to address that and take care of it. The trending is super important, changes over time. Comparisons feature in the previous example, that was actually something that came from a request from one of our customers, which really leads into this last example about customization. Talking a little bit about custom topics. Justin, I just wanted to see if you wanted to elaborate on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So this one is from our financial services space, and we have several financial services clients. So we have a model specific to financial services, just like we do with retail and utilities. And this one in particular was fintech, right? So they have their B2B company primarily. They have we're calling them Advice Savvy today, and they have a financial services platform, advisor platform that they make, and each year they do an ad hoc study to get an understanding of satisfaction and loyalty, and they track that loyalty. So we wanted to look at that and see how this breaks out. I see the question about impact, so I'm glad you asked that because we're actually going to show you that right now. So I'm going to go over into this example. Now, what you're looking at here is the topics that were generated. Now, this time, in this case, they actually didn't feel like, this isn't really a financial services product, and it's also not really kind of in the product model. So this was kind of a hybrid in between. They wanted to create their own topics, and they did so with this, and so they created one called Features and Tools. You can click on it, see the words that our client decided to use for features and tools, and that was displayed there. And now you see the frequency of how much that occurred. These pop into it instantly as soon as you create it, right? And what this here is the top 3 box on an 11-point scale for overall satisfaction. So 80% of those who mention features and tools give Advice Savvy a top 3 box rating, right? So that's how you interpret that. Now that's great, but what you also might want to know is what we call impact. And this is where I'm going to define impact, because it's a little bit more meaningful than just looking at the percentage, because it takes into account both volume and top 3 box, or whatever your metric is. And so now when you're looking at it, you can say, okay, this based on the volume and the top 3 box, what's really driving my satisfaction upwards or downwards, right? And so we can sort, and you see that easy to use and service and support and comprehensive solution. When those things are mentioned in those topics, it's driving up your overall satisfaction. And when we reverse that and look at something like connections, which is connecting to another platform or linking to a bank account, when those things are mentioned, advice savvy kind of falls a little bit short, right? So that's maybe where people are giving them lower satisfaction. And last thing I want to show you here is we can actually look at each loyalty segment and deep dive. So our tool is really great at being able to deep dive quickly. And so we can look at loyalists and pop this out. And now we can actually see within loyalists what's happening. So within loyalists, comprehensive solution, user friendly and easy to use are your top topics. Now let's look at what happens with defectors, who are those about to leave. When we look at them, user friendliness and user interface, difficult to use, it's almost the opposite. So what we discovered is that loyalists love it for its comprehensiveness, but defectors dislike it because of its comprehensiveness, and they find it hard to use. So we recommended creating a lighter version of the tool, and that's exactly what happened here. So they were able to modify based on that.
Very cool.
So that's our examples that we have for today, and I hope that helped answer the question out there about impact score. And Adam, I'll kick it back over to you.
Yeah, and lastly, just wanted to let everybody know that we are definitely available to have conversations, about text analytics solution if you are looking to find one, or if you have one in place and are looking to do a little bit of a comparison on that. Not sure if we have any other questions out there that might come about, Bridget.
Hi, thanks so much for all that great information. We do have time for some questions. So first off, would you be willing to allow a company to compare Bellomy's text analytics to the text analytics tool that they are currently using?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and take that one. Absolutely. Like I just mentioned, we would love to just compare, what are the things that your tool maybe is doing well? What are the things maybe your tool isn't doing as well? And we could do a side-by-side comparison to kind of see how we stack up. Would love to do that, have an opportunity. We could take, publicly available data like Google store reviews, or even data internally, just to take a look at it in our tool. Absolutely.
Great, thank you. What are the types of data sources that work with Bellomy text analytics?
Yeah, Justin, you want to go ahead and take that one?
Sure. Yeah. So I think we touched on this a little bit, but I mean, really, there are a number of different types of sources that Bellomy text analytics can incorporate, right? It started with survey data. That's a lot of our customers use that, but we showed examples using online data from online store reviews, and it doesn't just have to be Google. We also have a social media listening tool where we can pull in data from that and analyze it as well. Call center feedback is great as well. The transcripts that you have that are just sitting around and nobody knows what to do with and nobody has time to read, those are also very good for being able to, analyze using Bellomy text analytics.
Great, thanks so much. That's all the time that we have for questions today, but thanks so much, Adam and Justin, and thanks to all of our audience for coming. We will see you over in the next session.
Thank you.
Thank you.